We're back with another episode of Streetpreneur Podcast, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Mrs. Anisa Palmer. She's an award-winning author, as well as a speaker, as well as a consultant, and also a Forbes contributor. We want to welcome you to Streetpreneur Podcast today.
Thank you so much, Melvin, for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How's your day going so far?
Oh, it was a beautiful day. The sun is shining. God woke us up. Amen.
Amen. Amen. That's true. Just tell us a little bit about where you're from and, kind of your background. Let's start from that point.
Sure. So I grew up on a tiny, small little island called St. Croix, Virgin Islands. If you haven't been, you have to go. It is a must. And just a beautiful experience. I literally went to school right near the beach, every school I went to growing up. Amazing experience. And then, there's more, right? Everyone goes off to college in the mainland, the United States. And so it's, me joining the military also was a new interesting thing for me. I was excited to serve. Mm-hmm. I thought I would join the Peace Corps, and I learned at that time they only take certain majors. And so to undergrad, Georgia State University, time in the military, interesting experience. And man, losing my mom to breast cancer in the Virgin Islands, seeing her being shipped off to Puerto Rico for treatment, shipped off to the United States for treatments, and the doctors gave her 6 months to live when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was only 5 years old.
What year?
1990.
1990. Okay. And what was some of the, I guess that's the inspiration behind you starting your nonprofit agency?
Absolutely, 100%.
And when did you decide you wanted to start your agency and just be an advocate for breast cancer?
Melvin, it was my second tour in Iraq, and I'm on duty in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I'm in full battle rattle, got my full gear on, and it's hot as heck in the desert.
Yes.
And oftentimes soldiers will have different mirages. And so this time I'm seeing a mirage of my dear mother. And I'm taken away because, it's my mom. Of course, everyone can say their mom is the best mom, and I only had her for 5 years of my life. But the impact that she made on my life in that short amount of time, Melvin, I tell you, when I saw the mirage of my mom, I was like, okay, I can't retire in the military. I have to get out, and I have to help women with breast cancer. This is my mission. This is my calling. This is my purpose. God, I hear you. Okay.
That's a powerful statement. A lot of women needed that motivation and that encouragement. And what year did you decide to, did you start the agency?
2010.
2010.
Yes.
Right, so you coming up on the anniversary soon, or your 12th year?
12-year anniversary. We just celebrated December.
Okay.
Yes.
And what are some of the services that your nonprofit offers? First of all, tell them the name of your nonprofit.
Yes, I Will Survive Incorporated.
And why that name?
It was going through so many different names, and I would do, market research from starting the nonprofit. I do some consulting as well to help other nonprofits get off the ground. I said, the market research is so important. And when I would do, out in the community doing outreach, there were so many survivors I didn't believe that they could survive this disease. It's okay, this is powerful with affirmation. If you have to say it every day to believe it, the power in words, it's okay, this is the name. I will survive.
Okay.
Yes.
And as far as doing your event, is this an annual event, or is this something that you do, maybe small workshops or seminars that you host throughout the year?
Great question, Melvin. We do small workshops. Of course, with COVID, we went virtual 100%. And we change it by the month. So, March, it's Women's Health Month, Women's History Month. And so we do a lot of things around women, entrepreneurs, highlighting our survivors that are entrepreneurs, which has been phenomenal. We showcase them through our Instagram. But also April coming up, it's my mom's birthday month. There's official I Will Survive Day in there. And then also because April is Stress Awareness Month, we try to do things around, decreasing stress. And so we've been doing this event every year outside of COVID years. And so we're bringing it back, and we're bringing it bigger and better. We're adding art and jazz into as a highlight instead of a fashion show that we used to do every year. And so it's the Art and Jazz Gala. We have 6 phenomenal, incredible artists that are going to be featured in the event, and they're going to be auctioning some art off at the event as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure that's gonna go well and attract a lot of people.
Oh,
that
yes.
are definitely into the arts and definitely interested in buying art and selling art and things of that nature. So a lot of art collectors are out there. Let's go back to the military. Tell us about some of the tragic things that you saw in the military when you were doing one of your stints or you were deployed. So just tell us about something that was really, I don't want to get just too tragic, but I mean, you can
Absolutely.
at least tell us one story and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely, I understand.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of tragic, and I will say I literally I'm so blessed to be here, still standing. So many of my battle buddies have lost legs, have been impacted through different IEDs, improvised explosive devices, out on missions with our sappers, with our engineers, with our infantrymen and women. And I remember my first time going out the wire or outside on a mission, outside of our base. And we had our engineers that would go out and kind of clear the route before we go out on mission to make sure there aren't any IEDs in in our route. And it's still scary, of course, especially your first time. And we made it back, but it was still so traumatizing to see other missions and other units that went out, other companies, and some of their soldiers didn't come back.
Okay.
And so it was very traumatizing to see. You never know what mission you might go on, and you might not come back. It's scary and at the same time a blessing to be able to still have life.
Dealing with those issues, yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell us about some of the awards you were awarded and during your military service, and some of the medals. I know you have quite a few, and just tell us what's the story behind those medals and awards.
Sure. I think just going off to the military, you just especially with the war zone, you get so much medals and awards just for being in combat zones. And so I will say, yes, a decorated soldier is great, phenomenal, but those awards mean nothing if I couldn't bring my soldiers back. And so I feel so honored to say that I've never lost any of my soldiers in war zones. It takes a really, really good leader, but also it's really tough because I know so many of my colleagues, my battle buddies, who unfortunately did not get a chance to bring their soldiers back. They did not. I know I didn't answer your question on awards. It's hard to talk awards when so many lives were lost.
And what was your rank in the military? I forgot to ask that question. A lot of people want to know that.
Yes, I was a non-commissioned officer and sergeant.
Okay. And when did you retire from the military?
I did not retire. I actually finished my 4-year contract in 2010.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, going back to your agency, I Will Survive, do you offer service for military veterans?
Yes.
Can you tell us about what some of those services are?
Absolutely. And so we have 3 programs. Our economic support program helps pay rent, utilities, travel costs to and from the healthcare facility, just to mitigate some of those expenses when you're diagnosed. And right now, it's typically women, single mothers who have about 2 to 3 dependents in the home. And there's no discrimination. Breast cancer doesn't discriminate, and neither do we. And so there are veterans also that seek services. Some who, come back from, war zones, exit the military, might not have health insurance or whatnot, and they seek our services because, they need help paying that rent, paying those utility bills, keeping those lights on, the cold winter we had, make sure the heat's on. It's been tough for a lot of our families that we've been blessed to be able to help.
Yeah. Do you think the United States government do enough for military veterans as far as providing?
Great question.
As far as providing therapy services and PSD services? I know a lot of military veterans are dealing with
PTSD.
a lot of PTSD, and a lot of mental issues as well as health issues.
Absolutely. Melvin, I'm so glad you asked that question because that's actually our focus for 2023, mental health, mental wellness.
Okay.
And it's not just plagued our military veterans. Definitely it's there. We hear about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder all the time with our vets. And I will say our Vietnam vets definitely were not treated with respect coming back home after serving this country. I will say today, the VA, the Veterans Administration, has done major improvements in care. I just had a baby, and my full pregnancy. I got to pick where I wanted to go to get treatments. I picked Northside Hospital, one of the best hospitals in Georgia, and excellent care and delivery. As a veteran, I feel so honored to have health insurance, which is so important. And so many of our survivors sometimes, they lose it, unfortunately, if they lose their job, lose their employment.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
I want to touch on homelessness because we all have that stigma. A lot of the military veterans are homeless, and people want to know why are they homeless, and they went and fought for this country, and they put their lives on the line. So what do you think about that? How can we, the government, the city, the state, or whoever, how can they better that situation? I just want to hear your opinion about it.
Melvin, we had a lot of volunteers over the 12 years of doing this work who say, you know what, we love doing care packages for our survivors. It's one of part of our program.
Yes. But
can we do more? So we'll have some veterans and say, volunteers that would come out and say, let's make some sack lunches. Let's go out at these parks on the street and actually give some food to some of the homeless men and women that are out there. And you get a chance to talk to them, and you get a chance to really have conversations that matter, and some have said personally, you know what? I don't want any government help.
Yes. They completely give it
They
up.
want to just be free.
Just live their lives.
They want to live their life on their own terms, nomads, if you will.
Right.
And I say, you know what? Whatever makes you happy, do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so others who, get displaced, some who are dealing with various drug issues.
Yes.
Not just drugs as far as, illegal drugs, some that are very legal.
Yes.
And some are overdosing on certain things that are prescribed to them.
Yes.
And so they have different side effects that are affecting various mental pieces. And that's unfortunate as well. When you look at some of our homeless men and women who are also veterans who are struggling in that area.
Okay.
But yeah, I think every city, every county, we can do more. Certainly. There's so many that are homeless on the streets.
Right. And you also published a book in 2019. Can you tell us a little bit about your book? I know it's called The Ultimate Climax.
Yes, Purpose, The Ultimate Climax is a guide to help people who, are just seeking to live a life of purpose. I run into so many people, amazing interns we have throughout the course of this work who, are just kind of lost. And even my fellow veterans who come back, and I've served, I'm moving into now becoming a civilian, yes. And I'm struggling trying to figure out what's next. What can I do to, serve again another way? And so with my book, it really kind of helps by chapter, go through what that piece looks like for you. And for those who, do purchase the book, it is out on Amazon. And it really, from the feedback that I've gotten so far, it's really helped people, from our young people who are looking to live a life of purpose, and then also our veterans coming back home.
Right. And in this particular aspect, I want to touch on therapy.
Sure.
Just to get your opinion on therapy, because we all need it at some point in time.
Yes.
And what do you recommend for people who ask about, will therapy work, and why do I need it, and it's not going to do any good? How do you deal with people who have a negative mindset towards therapy?
Great question. And I'll just highlight too the Black community here, because I meet so many, and I'm going to say even Black men, predominantly, right?
Right.
My
they
husband,
don't see the value in it, right?
My husband told me once, I don't believe in mental health. It's not something that you can believe or not believe in. It's there. Right. It's real.
Right.
And so whether you deal with it face on, or you hide it, you push it away, it's going to come back. And so the best thing is to deal with it. Don't be, finding a problem to every solution. Let's find solutions to problems. Right. And with our mental health, especially in the Black community, I see it so many times. If we don't deal with it, it affects so many things, from every relationship you have to workforce to, relationships with your children, yes. The whole nine. So it's very important to talk about something, having a safe space to talk to somebody. And so I will say I've had a therapist since I was a little girl. Having someone to talk to, yes, it's so important. Okay. And then in the military, I probably had 2 or 3. Yeah. But talk about different things. This, one I might talk about with war zone stuff, and another one I might talk about, family dynamic issues. My mom died at such a young age. Yeah, what does that look like?
That's true.
I said, I don't want to be a statistic just because my mom died. How can I be better?
And how do you, for people who like to talk to their friends about certain situations. Why is this not a good thing to go and talk to friends and family members about your problems instead of a licensed therapist?
Sometimes you get that negative feedback that is not healthy. When we talk about toxic environments, it's not just in our food. It's sometimes coming from people, sometimes coming from our environment, and so when being in the health space, it's so important to have, health spaces all around you, from the plants that we have that are giving us the oxygen that we need to the water that we drink, to the food that we, but also it's like who's in our circle. It's so important. The naysayers and the negative folks who are, giving us all that, let's kind of push those out.
Toxic environment.
It's toxic environment. It's not healthy. It's not.
Right.
Yes.
And is there anything else that your agency has in the works besides the annual event? Is there any new developments or new projects that you're working on right now currently?
Great question. I actually get blessed and honored to be able to go to Georgia Tech. They have Stamps a Scholar program. They have a national program April 1st. And so we get to share some things of, what does it look like for AI in the nonprofit space, artificial intelligence, and, what does that look like? And how can we rebuild our team from post-COVID? Okay. Because that's what we're doing now. We had to close our facility in the middle of COVID. And so in the city of Atlanta, it is the year of the youth, which is so important. It's like, yes, we help our families, we help, our women and children, but how can we pour back into our youth? And so that's why we're partnering with Manifest Destiny, not just for our annual gala that we have coming up on April 30th at the Gathering Spot, but also we want to partner with them on a long-term basis because they do art therapy and poetry therapy and, really tapping into that mental wellness from the youth. It's so important. The suicide rates for youth. Right.
I've never heard, what is art therapy?
Yes,
those of us that don't know.
No, great question. And so art therapy, music therapy, really just having positive outlets to be able to express yourself, so you're not bottling all that in. If it's something that you're dealing with, if I don't want to talk to a therapist or I don't want to talk to somebody, you still got to let it out. So finding something that makes you happy, whether it's doing art, and the art comes in many forms. Right. So it's so many ways to release.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you feel like you've accomplished everything in your life that you wanted to accomplish so far?
Melvin, it's so funny because my mom died at 38 and I turned 38 this year. Okay. And it's like, oh man, if I get to live past my mom's age, that's a huge accomplishment just alone. Yes. But no, Melvin, there's so much more I want to do. My mom's dream was to go to Egypt. She never got a chance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she never got a chance to. And so I want to take my son. I have a 1-year-old. I want to take my son to Egypt. So you can kind of see what grandma was, envisioning when she wanted to go.
Are you going to wait till you get a little older or you're...
Oh, yeah. I got to wait till he gets a little older for Egypt. A little bit older for
yes. Yeah, that's true. Is there anything else that your agency... you want people to know, women to know, and men who's dealing with cancer right now.
Absolutely.
Is there any motivational advice you can give them right now?
Melvin, thank you so much for that. Yes, as far as the event, please get tickets. It's artjazzgala.com. I want to thank my team for being just amazing, but also final words on positive thoughts, the mental health piece, the mental wellness. If you're not okay in your mind, you're not okay in your body, you're not okay in your spirit. And so I really, really believe that. And so if there's something that you need help with, it starts with the mind.
Yes.
Yes.
I also want to get your opinion on social media.
Sure.
Is social media, because there's so much negativity on Twitter. We're going back and forth with people on Instagram. How is social media affecting people's mental health?
Great question. I remember my babysitter came to me and said, you know what, I want to go back to using a flip phone. Yeah. It's distracting. She's a medical student and she's phenomenal.
Because people are strolling all day long.
It's time consuming, and you could put all that stuff on your phone to try to minimize, your
things are still coming up on your timeline.
It's still, and some of it is negative. Great question. And so you can tune all that out. It's like almost putting a parent control on yourself that you can do with your kids. Right, you can put that on yourself to make sure, you can tune out any certain words that you don't want to come in your timeline or your feed. You can tune all that out. Yeah. And so for me, I don't have to put those timeline things or, minimize because I don't have a lot of time to do strolling or streaming things. It's like I might be on, for the business. I do consulting for nonprofits as well. And so I'm on, I'm off. I don't have time for anything negative. at all.
Right.
Peace is the greatest thing for me.
Ever.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't touch on that. Tell us about some of the service that you offer for people who are looking forward to starting a nonprofit agency and they need advice on how to start, the things they need to do to get any licensings or anything that they need.
Yes, great question. And so I'm doing consultant work for maybe 10 years now, and the clients that I am blessed to be able to serve, it's sometimes even not starting a nonprofit, finding someone that already has a nonprofit that you maybe dream to work with, so that you can add value to that nonprofit versus duplicating services. And so biggest thing I tell any clients that I get to serve is do your market research. See what's out there first before you start a nonprofit so that you can help in our community for real.
Okay.
Yes.
So which genres of nonprofit agencies are people going into the most?
It's so many different ones. You see health, you see youth-focused, education-focused.
Family services.
Yeah, those are the most common ones.
Abused women. I hear a lot of women say I'm opening a shelter for
domestic violence.
Domestic violence situations.
Yes, that's another one. Yes, that's important.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want our viewers to know, or you want the general public to know about you? And any upcoming projects that they need to know about. So where do you want to see the agency as far as scaling your nonprofit?
Yep. So we were looking at going global in our strategic plan, and then COVID happened. Yeah. And so we had to scale back from that. If we said we're not ready, we have global interns who, come, and of all the nonprofits in the world, they come and choose to work with us, which is really a blessing. Right. But it's okay, we're not ready to go global yet. Right.
When you say global, which aspect of global?
So our services, we get applications not just in Georgia. 70% of our applications come in from Georgia, and then the rest 30% are around the nation, and then some international. We have our applications, clients who need services in the Philippines and various countries in the continent of Africa. And so say in our strategic plan, we wrote to be able to, at year 10, to move into the Caribbean. Of course, that's where I'm from. And the need is there as well, but also moving out into various continents. Okay. And so the first one would definitely be Africa.
Right. And that's when I mention that's concerning opening up chapters.
Yes.
In different
locations, yeah.
Different locations,
our services are needed worldwide.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. And, how can people get in contact with you?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, at the Anisa Palmer. And then please, if you want to get tickets, you want to come out, we are so blessed. The city of Atlanta, Mayor Andre Dickens is coming out to our event. It's April 30th at the Art Jazz Gala, and that's artjazzgala.com for more information.
And we want to thank you for coming out to the show. You have truly been a blessing to us, and hopefully, I'm sure you are a blessing to other people who need your services. And I want to send a big shout out to the military veterans out there and the breast cancer survivors. And I just want to thank you for coming out.
Thank you so much, Melvin. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.